I'm Jean-Marc Denis, Chairman of the Board for the European Processor Initiative. I'm very happy to be with you today for the RISC-V Global Forum 2020. The European Processor Initiative was born back in 2015 from a vision from Jean-Claude Juncker, who was the President of the European Commission. He wanted to have, by 2020, a supercomputer fully designed in Europe based on European technologies, including the computing units based on European technologies, 100% European. And he wanted this machine to be in the top 3 at the worldwide level. From this vision, from this dream, the Commission moved forward. In 2017, the EuroHPC joint undertaking was signed by 7 founding members. And from this fundamental seed, all the other members of the Union joined the undertaking for aligning their roadmaps, their funds, and their ambition around high-performance computing. And then, last year, in 2019, the new Commission was elected, and the new Commissioner in charge of internal market, Thierry Breton, was assigned to enhance Europe's technological sovereignty. On the very first of the list, in regards of sovereignty consideration, is high-performance computing. This is why, today, the objectives of the European Processor Initiative is to develop a complete European designed high-performance processor to set up the basis for European IP for future compute engines, accelerators, processors, covering supercomputing on edge HPC segments. So if we want to succeed, we need to deliver in short term and in long term. So we have a short-term objective, which is to supply to the European Union a microprocessor that will empower the European exascale machines. And at the same time, we build the fundamental IP for having full sovereignty from IP to manufacturing our own European-made microprocessors with high performance and low power points. So EPI is all about this. So we need to cover, and this is one of the real complexity of the project, all technical readiness levels. TRL 1 to 3 for the long-term objective around RISC-V instruction set, and simultaneously high-level TRL from 4 to 9 for covering the short to mid-term objective and to have a product in European machines in 2023. So, how do we transform those objectives into a concrete roadmap? So for the short-term objective, we build from ARM. We use the ARM core on ARM assets, and this is the choice we've made with ARM Zeus core. On Cyper, the company that has been created last year as the industrial and business hand of EPI, is integrated the ARM core on its own common platform with the objective to have by 2022 general availability of the first product, and this product will be in the European exascale machines. In parallel, we have a second mainstream of development around an accelerator based on the RISC-V instruction set. So we set at first the IP, we produce and we validate the IP in 22 nanometers, and from that, once it's validated, we integrate on the common platform with the general purpose processor in 7 nanometer. And once proven, that will set the basis for having a real European accelerator, single die, multiple die, by 2023 or after. EPI is a consortium of 27 partners from 10 different countries, and we have assembled in a single consortium the best expertise in Europe in the design of microprocessor for instance, with Infineon, with Ethos, with ST, with BSC, the Barcelona Supercomputing Center. We also have in the consortium the top car manufacturers from Europe with BMW and also with Infineon. And we have as well in that consortium Electrobit, which is one of the key companies in Europe for the software that is embedded in cars and in the future autonomous cars. And from this, we will build the HPC edge solutions. And we have, of course, the best European exascale research centers and production centers. So one of the key questions we had to address with EPI is to transform the R&D aspects of the project into real products. So how do we move from EPI to a commercial product designed, manufactured, and sold by a company? And this is the whole consideration of Cyper. Cyper is a company that has been incorporated last year by mid-2019 in France. And this is the industrial and business hand for the European Processor Initiative. It's obviously a fabless company because there is no 7 nanometer manufacturing plant in Europe. And Cyper used the IP from the EPI partners, develop its own IP, and license the missing components like EDA tools or external IPs for HBM, for DDR, for PCI Express, and so on and so forth from the market. Obviously, to obtain those IPs, lots of money is required, so Cyper raised in equity the missing budget from the market in Europe, from the European market. And this is quite tricky. And once the product will be there, Cyper, as any standard company, will generate revenue from both HPC, artificial intelligence, server, and edge market. So at the end of the day, Cyper will be a standard company. Let me make a very unrealistic comparison. I would say that Cyper would be the European Intel. This is exactly the same class of business, except that Cyper is just starting up and has no manufacturing plant yet. So let's move to the technological part of the project. So the project will be built from a NoC that we have acquired from ARM. On this NoC, that is our common platform, we connect all the external IPs for HBM, for DDR, for PCI Express, and with CCIX, which is the high-speed link, and also die-to-die specific IPs in order we can assemble different dies together. We have a multiple chiplet chip to build up, like AMD is doing, very large and complex processors. And one of the IP that we plug on the common platform is a Zeus core from ARM, and then the European accelerator, EPAC, and the code name is Titan. We also plug additional IPs, like the multi-purpose processing array from Carre, devoted to the automotive market, and also FPGA IPs for adding additional features and functionalities on the common platform. And obviously, because this is something very important, we add specific cryptographic IP for guaranteeing the European sovereignty and security on the European data. So from this common platform, we have many different IPs addressing different domains. So let's focus now on the European accelerator that is developed with RISC-V instruction set. So on the EPAC, we developed the IP that I'm going to describe very quickly on the next slides. At first, we are going to prove in 22 nanometers. And when it is proven, we will test on a specific board where an FPGA will control the European accelerator test chip in 22 nanometers, on which we are going to connect memory on specific devices on PCI Express. And once it is proven, we integrate in 7 nanometers on the first generation commercial products. So the European Accelerator in a nutshell, what are we talking about? We develop and demonstrate a fully European processor IP, at first focusing on HPC acceleration, 100% European, with 100% expertise on 100% IP that will be moved then in the open field thanks to the structure of the RISC-V Foundation. The key IPs we are developing are indeed covering HPC and artificial intelligence. For HPC, we have a vector IP with long vectors, and we have VRP with extended variable precision arithmetics that can cover dynamically up to hundreds of bits, totally dynamically. And for addressing the needs for artificial intelligence, mostly for machine learning, we have a Neurostream accelerator for deep learning and the Stencil IP, which is a specialized accelerator for stencil computation. And all of them will be inside the macro tile that will be the European accelerator. So let me focus 1 second on the RISC-V long vectors, hardware and software. The long vector will be length agnostic, that will dynamically adapt to the algorithmic structure, let's say 16-bit, 32 bits, 64 bits of the algorithms working on it. That will be totally open in order we can minimize the gap to build up a software ecosystem that will work with MPI and OpenMP. So we are going to develop the specific extension of the language for the needs of the European accelerator. And thanks to the long vectors, we are going to maximize the throughput, decoupling the front end from the back end. And we have the potential to optimize the memory throughput. So at first, obviously, that will be connected to HBM, and then that will be also connected to standard DDR. And for us, I have to say that the ISA and working with RISC-V is extremely important. First, it's open. Second, we can control in Europe the openness of the IP. And you know that now the RISC-V Foundation is located in Swiss. It's not part of the European Union, but at least this is in Europe, and this is very important. And we can leverage the other developments from the RISC-V community inside our processors. And the other way around is also true. We can leverage our own developments inside the community. So we are going to build and we are going to reuse the leverage of the RISC-V community around operating systems, compilers, on the global software ecosystem. So let me focus 1 second on the RISC-V long vectors, hardware and software. The long vector will be length agnostic, that will dynamically adapt to the algorithmic structure, let's say 16-bit, 32 bits, 64 bits of the algorithms working on it. That will be totally open in order we can minimize the gap to build up a software ecosystem that will work with MPI and OpenMP. So we are going to develop the specific extension of the language for the needs of the European accelerator. And thanks to the long vectors, we are going to maximize the throughput, decoupling the front end from the back end. And we have the potential to optimize the memory throughput. So at first, obviously, that will be connected to HBM, and then that will be also connected to standard DDR. And for us, I have to say that the ISA and working with RISC-V is extremely important. First, it's open. Second, we can control in Europe the openness of the IP. And you know that now the RISC-V Foundation is located in Swiss. It's not part of the European Union, but at least this is in Europe, and this is very important. And we can leverage the other developments from the RISC-V community inside our processors. And the other way around is also true. We can leverage our own developments inside the community. So we are going to build and we are going to reuse the leverage of the RISC-V community around operating systems, compilers, on the global software ecosystem. Now, let's talk about the perspectives and challenges for the next years. And this is very important for us as well, because we are not naive about the potential issues we could face. At first, let's consider the successes of EPI. By 2022-2023, EPI will deliver a high-performance general-purpose processor for HPC systems. We will have developed the fundamental IP for a 100% European accelerator based on RISC-V, and that will be totally developed in Europe. We will have created from nothing the expertise for developing high-end and complex processing units after decades of disinvestments and disengagement of Europe in this area. So it means that by 2022-2023, EPI will be ready to move to the next step, which is to engage on the development of a general-purpose processor 100% based on the RISC-V instruction set. Nevertheless, we have many challenges ahead of us. At first, we have to consider that we are moving from an ecosystem on RISC-V instruction set which covers extremely well microcontrollers on very entry-level processing units. And we want to develop a general-purpose processor able to compete with the best-in-class general-purpose processor from Intel, from AMD, from IBM, and from the developers of ARM-based microprocessors. So that will be progressive. That will take many years if we want to be successful. So we have to move up on the TRL scale. That will take long. We have to think about that some IPs are extremely complex, extremely difficult to develop. So competencies for developing those IPs are rare and expensive. So we have to take that into account in our plan for the next years. Last but not least, the software ecosystem in data center on high-end space based on the RISC-V instruction set doesn't exist yet. It has to be created and to be enlarged over the next years. That will take time, and this is certainly one of the main roadblocks toward full sovereignty in the high-end space based on full RISC-V instruction set. There are many challenges for the next years. The first one is how can we move from R&D to real industrial products? We know that for developing with the best-in-class manufacturing process, we need EDA tools, we need additional IP, we need complex industrialization processes that will require a lot of money, more than $50 million or euro, to make it simple, and these only large corporations in Europe could offer this level of investment. And the first question to be addressed is how to recover from this investment. So this is a key question we need to address. We have to prove there is a potential to be profitable with big investments, big money invested in Europe at the benefit of Europe. And you can believe me, this is my daily task. This is extremely difficult to convince investors. We have to take into account that the competition is well established as well. x86, ARM, they have proven products and they can deliver. So we have to come with RISC-V processors at least at the same performance level or delivering more for the same price. That will be very difficult to prove, and we have to build up an ecosystem in order we can have a comparable software ecosystem competing with x86 and ARM. Last but not least, nobody knows where the market will be in 5 years. What will happen over the next 5 years? Will new instruction set potentially open rise? Will existing instruction set like x86 become open source? Nobody can tell. And what will happen between now and 2025? for the champions at industrial level of RISC-V instruction set. The companies having based their strategy on RISC-V could fail. If they fail, how can we convince investors that we are going to succeed? This is a big issue. And there is also, and that will be my final word about the risk, any company developing its own IP based on RISC-V with a differentiated value could consider they will keep their IP for their own, and they will not give that IP back to the community, and then the market will be fragmented. It did happen in the past with Linux, and it could happen again with RISC-V. So again, I believe a very specific attention to if we want to prove that we can make the job and have a complete software ecosystem based on the RISC-V instruction set. It was my final words, and I want to thank you for your attention, and now I'm ready to take any question. Thank you very much for your attention.